Hi, I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Friday, January the 19th. We're recording this around 1 p.m. with the fate of the federal budget hanging in the balance at this moment. Most people seem to be predicting that there'll be a government shutdown for failure to pass a budget in the Senate. The House passed an interim bill today, but there's resistance to it in the Senate, particularly from Democrats, but also a number of Republicans don't want to go along with the interim spending plan for a variety of reasons. Donald Trump has called a meeting with Charles Schumer, the Democratic minority leader, to see if they can work out a deal. He's had to cancel a trip to Florida, a terrible thing for Donald Trump. The Democrats want some things in the bill. They want to see some money to fight the opioid crisis and for some other purposes. They want some help for Puerto Rico, which has been devastated and not helped very much by the federal government at this point. They want to do something about the Dreamers, the children who've been in this country for years illegally, according to the Trump view, but came here through no fault of their own. The Republicans now suddenly like the child health insurance program, and they're using it to hold hostage their budget bill. That's not good enough. They could have passed this years ago, never mind months ago, but they're now suddenly Paul Ryan is a fan of something that he's wanted to kill for years. Well, we'll see what will happen. The Republicans are trying to blame the Democrats, even though they can't muster a 50-vote majority for it from their own party. Some other people are calling it the Schumer shutdown for that reason. Others are calling it the shithole shutdown, a result of the chaos that's ensued because of Donald Trump's mishandling of immigrant issues. We'll see. One more budget note. Senator Lindsey Graham, who is a Republican, you know, criticized Tom Cotton, the senator from Arkansas, for being part of the problem in the budget negotiations. He says Donald Trump has taken too much advice from Tom Cotton, and Tom Cotton's advice on immigration matters are just not plausible for passage at this moment in time. He, in fact, compared Tom Cotton to House Representative Steve King of Iowa, who is, if you didn't know, is nuts. I told Lindsey Graham by Twitter, perhaps you better watch out. Cotton may send him a cease and desist letter, as Cotton likes to send to people who criticize him too much. Kind of got a thin skin, our snowflake senator does. Also from Washington today, Senator Ron Wyden, the ranking Democrat on the Finance Committee, wants an investigation for conflict of interest by Seema Verma, the head of the Medicaid division of the federal government, because she has a conflict of interest in dealing with Medicaid waivers for states like Arkansas, where she once worked as a private consultant. She said she's got a waiver to do this kind of work. There's a top former aide, Asa Hutchinson, who's a senior staffer now to Verma. Lots of chumminess there. Whether this investigation will go anywhere or not, we don't know. One final note on the Trump administration that has an Arkansas connection. A Little Rock native, John Bush, one of the most unqualified of the unqualified nominees that Donald Trump has made to the federal bench, has issued his first decision as a federal appellate judge for the Sixth Circuit. He's from Louisville, Kentucky now. He's eviscerated the Fourth Amendment protection against search and seizure, says local criminal defense lawyer John Hall, and his decision has been widely criticized for an expansive use of search warrants. Find a little information on somebody's computer, and Bush says it's okay if you search everything in that person's house. What an amazing expansion of a right for the government to search and an invasion of your privacy. Closer to home, early this morning about 6:30 a.m. at apartments on McCain Place off the old Jacksonville Highway near North Little Rock, a gunman walked up to a family, killed the 30-year-old mother, wounded a 5-year-old child, and 3 children were escaped unharmed. There have been no arrests, no indication yet on why this happened. The suspicion is there's some domestic involvement, but we don't even know that at this point. Yesterday, the city of Little Rock sued 2 candidates for mayor, Warwick Saban and Frank Scott Jr., because they set up exploratory committees to raise money for mayoral races. The city says this violates a 1997 city ordinance that prohibits fundraising for mayoral race until June the 1st of this year. The State Ethics Commission says there's nothing wrong with this practice. There's a great dose of hypocrisy in this. The same ordinance that the city wants to enforce says that city candidates can't carry over campaign money from previous elections. Mark Stodel is sitting on $78,000 for his mayoral race, and he thinks it's a terrible thing that Warwick Saban and Frank Scott are raising money. He doesn't do himself any favors by pressing this into a lawsuit. It's another reason why people aren't happy with city government. I suspect Stodel has pushed for a lawsuit on this is because of his desperation that his numbers aren't doing well and these challengers present some real threat to his reelection this year. The legislature this morning routinely approved a ban on dicamba, a controversial herbicide in the period between April and October. Monsanto Chemical, which makes this herbicide, is trying to fight that ban in court. And elsewhere, the Game and Fish Commission yesterday, catering to the gun nuts who are ascendant in the state these days, declared that open carry is legal on its wildlife management areas and other properties. A small question remains about whether when they say property, do they mean buildings of the Game and Fish Commission, such as Nature Center? I think the law still bans open carry of weapons in state buildings, although the new concealed carry law and its enhanced permit does allow people with enhanced permits, once they start being issued, to have them in state buildings anywhere, including the state capitol and courthouses around the state. Feel safe yet? Well, you can resist by going to the Capitol tomorrow and marching. They'll be forming up at 11 a.m. for a march to the Capitol. There'll be a rally at 1 a.m. for reproductive rights and other issues of importance to women. Go out there and show your pink colors. It's a good time to do it. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back next week.